arrived early to my brother's barbecue carrying a bowl of potato salad and the happiest news of my life. 20 minutes later, I was sitting under a tree crying so hard I could barely breathe because I'd just heard my own sister joking about my funeral while the rest of my family laughed. Not metaphorically, not the kind of dark joke people immediately regret and apologize for. I mean genuine laughter, relaxed laughter, comfortable laughter. The kind people share when they think everyone around them agrees, and the worst part wasn't that I was shocked. The worst part was that some quiet, wounded part of me wasn't surprised at all. My name is Isabella Reyes. Everyone calls me Bella. I was 34 years old that summer, and I worked as a senior marketing manager for a hotel group in Phoenix, Arizona. 11 days before that barbecue, I'd been promoted to director of marketing, overseeing 6 properties and a team of 12 people. It was the biggest achievement of my career. And the first people I wanted to tell were my family, which, looking back now, says more about hope than intelligence, because hope doesn't disappear just because reality keeps disappointing it. Hope survives, even when it shouldn't. Saturday afternoon in June in Phoenix is its own kind of punishment. The sky looked white instead of blue, heat waves danced above the pavement, and the air conditioning in my silver Honda Accord only worked properly on the driver's side. My right arm was sweating while my left side froze. I remember stupid details like that because trauma preserves strange things. I remember my coral-colored linen dress. I remember the bowl of potato salad on the passenger seat covered in plastic wrap. I remember humming along to an old Fleetwood Mac song while sitting at a red light, and I remember smiling. Because I was happy, because after years of hard work, endless weekends, impossible clients, and wondering if I'd ever make it, I finally had something worth celebrating. I wanted my brother Clayton to be proud. I wanted Victoria to hug me. I wanted Aunt Patricia to say she'd always known I could do it. I wanted things people shouldn't still want at 34 years old. Approval, love, belonging. I arrived at Clayton's house 35 minutes early because I always arrived early. Always. Growing up, my father used to joke that I would show up to my own funeral 10 minutes ahead of schedule, and after he died 12 years earlier, I became even more careful about being dependable. Dependable people don't get abandoned, at least that's what I believed. Clayton had texted everyone the garage code, so I let myself in through the front door. The house smelled like grilled meat and fresh-cut grass. I heard voices outside. Everyone was already there. I smiled. Perfect. I could put the potato salad down and surprise everyone. Then I reached the back screen door and stopped, because I heard my name, not shouted, not lovingly, not excitedly. My name in that particular tone people use when they're discussing someone who isn't supposed to hear. Clayton's voice. She's probably coming over to brag about that fancy job again. Laughter. Easy laughter. My sister Victoria laughed next. Remember when she worked at Starbucks and acted like she owned Wall Street? More laughter. Julian, Leonard, Aunt Patricia, the whole chorus. Then Aunt Patricia said something that froze me. That girl thought she was special since she was 7 years old. I stood there, one hand an inch away from the handle. And I don't know why I didn't walk outside immediately. Maybe because some part of me needed proof, needed certainty. Needed to hear enough that I couldn't spend the next 10 years convincing myself I'd misunderstood. Then Victoria laughed, the same laugh she'd had since we were kids, beautiful, easy. The laugh that made strangers love her within minutes. And she said casually, honestly, it'd be nice if Bella got into a car accident and never showed up. Then we'd actually enjoy ourselves. The backyard exploded, laughter, real laughter, not nervous, not uncomfortable. Nobody corrected her. Nobody said, Jesus, Victoria. Nobody defended me. They just laughed, my family, laughing at my death. I remember setting the potato salad down carefully on the counter. I remember grabbing my purse. I remember walking out the front door. And I remember making it exactly 2 blocks before I collapsed underneath a tree and cried so hard my chest hurt. Not because I was surprised, because I wasn't. I was grieving confirmation. 34 years of trying to earn love, and suddenly I realized I'd spent 3 decades applying for a position that had never existed. I called Denise. Denise Washington had been my best friend since college, 40 years old, healthcare analyst, brilliant, funny, and incapable of lying to me. She answered on the second ring. Bella, I couldn't speak. She immediately changed tones. Where are you? I told her. 10 minutes later, she found me sitting under that tree. I was still crying. She climbed out of her Subaru and wrapped her arms around me. What happened? And I told her everything, every word, every laugh, every sentence. Denise sat quietly. And when I finished, she whispered something that changed my life. Bella, what? You know none of this is new. I stared at her. She looked sad, not surprised, sad. They've always done this. I looked away. No, yes, no, Bella, they just got caught. I hated that she was right because she wasn't describing one afternoon. She was describing my entire life. Growing up, Victoria had been sunshine, 3 years older than me. Beautiful, popular, funny, people loved Victoria, teachers loved Victoria, boys loved Victoria, family loved Victoria. And somewhere along the way, everyone decided there was only room for one bright star, which meant I became the moon. Present, useful, invisible, I got straight A's, Victoria got attention. I earned scholarships, Victoria got praise, I graduated college, everyone asked whether Victoria was dating anyone. When Dad died, I helped Mom with paperwork. Victoria organized flowers and became the grieving daughter everyone comforted. Nobody was cruel exactly, not directly. Cruelty would have been easier. Cruelty is obvious, neglect hides, it smiles. It forgets birthdays, it talks over you. It remembers your sister's favorite wine and forgets your promotion. It tells you you're too sensitive when you finally mention it. And after enough years, you begin wondering whether you're imagining everything, whether maybe you really are difficult, maybe you really do make things about yourself, maybe you really are too much. Until one day you hear people laughing about your funeral and suddenly all the confusion disappears. Denise bought me coffee. We sat inside a little cafe on Camelback Road. I wasn't hungry. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. She watched me quietly. What were you going to tell them? My promotion, she smiled sadly. The biggest achievement of your career, I nodded. They would have ruined it, I know. They would have made jokes, I know. They would have made it about themselves, I know. She leaned forward. Bella, what if this is freedom? I looked at her. What if this isn't loss? Tears filled my eyes. What if losing people who don't love you isn't losing? I started crying again. Because grief isn't always losing someone. Sometimes grief is finally accepting they were never really there. Sunday morning, I woke up with 27 missed calls, 42 text messages. Voicemails, group chats, Victoria, Clayton, Patricia, Julian, Leonard, everyone. Apparently they'd noticed I disappeared. Apparently they'd discovered the potato salad. Apparently they were offended. Offended, not worried, not apologetic, offended. Clayton's voicemail said, Bella, seriously, you just left. Everyone's asking where you went. Stop being dramatic and call me. Stop being dramatic. I replayed that message 4 times because something inside me finally snapped. Not loudly, not violently, quietly, like ice breaking. And for the first time in my life, I didn't call back. I put my phone face down and went back to sleep. Monday morning, my promotion officially became public. My boss, Karen Matthews, announced it during the executive meeting. People applauded. Someone brought cupcakes. Marcus from finance hugged me. Jenna cried. And standing there in that conference room, surrounded by coworkers who genuinely seemed happy for me, I suddenly realized something terrifying. These people knew me less than my family. Yet they treated me better, which meant love wasn't automatic, respect wasn't automatic, blood wasn't enough. People chose how they treated you, and my family had been making choices for decades. That evening, my brother Clayton showed up at my apartment unannounced. I almost didn't answer, but I did. He stood there looking irritated, not concerned, not guilty, irritated. Bella, Clayton, he walked inside without asking. What's your problem? My problem? Yeah, he sat down. Everyone spent the whole barbecue wondering where you disappeared to. I stared. You wondered, of course. No, you didn't. His eyebrows furrowed. What? You were busy laughing. He froze. What? I heard everything. Silence, real silence. And then something remarkable happened. He didn't apologize, he defended it. Oh my God, Bella. You heard jokes, you wished me dead. We were kidding. Everyone laughed. So, he sighed dramatically. You've always been too sensitive. There it was, the sentence, the family anthem. Too sensitive, too emotional, too dramatic, too much. I smiled, not because I was happy, because I was done. You know something, Clayton? What? I think I'm finally sensitive enough. What does that mean? It means I heard you, he frowned. Bella's no, I stood up. It means I'm finally listening. And for the first time in my life, my brother looked uncomfortable, not angry, not annoyed, afraid, because people like Clayton don't fear confrontation. They fear consequences, and neither of us knew yet that Grandma Cecilia had left behind something that would change everything. And none of them had any idea that while they were laughing about my funeral, they'd already lost something far bigger than they could imagine. 3 days after Clayton left my apartment angry and confused, I sat in my office staring at my computer screen without actually seeing any of it. The quarterly marketing report was open, my email inbox was full, my coffee had gone cold, and all I could think about was my grandmother, Grandma Cecilia. The woman who had called me every Sunday for 15 years, the woman who remembered everyone's birthdays, the woman who noticed everything and rarely said much. And the woman who, unknown to my entire family, had left me the one thing everyone assumed belonged to Clayton, the house. I still hadn't told anyone, not Denise, not Mom, not my family, nobody. Somehow, after hearing them laugh about my funeral, announcing that news felt less like sharing and more like handing a loaded weapon to people who had spent my entire life proving they couldn't be trusted with anything sharp. So I kept quiet until Friday morning. That's when my phone rang. "Miss Reyes," a calm voice asked. "Yes, this is Rosalind Kaufman. Probate has officially concluded." I closed my office door. "Okay, the property deed has been recorded. Legally, the North Phoenix house now belongs entirely to you." Even hearing the words still felt strange. Mine, Grandma's home. The house where every Christmas had happened, the backyard where Dad taught me to ride a bike, the kitchen where Grandpa made pancakes. Mine, not Clayton's, not Victoria's, mine. And then Rosalind said something else. "Miss Reyes, I should probably tell you this." "What?" "Your brother has called our office 6 times this week." I blinked. "What?" "He apparently learned probate finished. He believes the house automatically transferred to him." My stomach dropped. "Does he know?" "No," she almost laughed. "He was very confident." Confident, that word stayed with me, because confidence and entitlement often wear the same clothes, and my brother had always confused them. "I'll tell him myself," I said quietly. Rosalind paused. "Your grandmother trusted your judgment." After hanging up, I sat there staring at the family picture on my desk. Dad, Mom, Victoria, Clayton. Me, everyone smiling, everyone pretending, and suddenly I realized something strange. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of disappointing them, because I finally understood something. People who laugh about your funeral don't deserve your guilt. And what happened next? Nobody in my family saw it coming.